Hey there, everybody. Today we're going to jump into the Retailing Mogul, the final lesson on our virtual business course. So what we're essentially doing here is we're putting together all of the information that we have covered in previous lessons and now putting it into play as you own and operate your own grocery store. So over on Canvas, I've got a list of some general tips and hints because there are an infinite number of ways to be successful and meet that $20,000 weekly profit, just as there are an infinite amount of ways to fail and not reach that profit and go out of business. So this isn't really like my other videos where I just tell you what values to put in, or you can just do exactly what I do, because based on your choices, where you locate and everything, things are going to change from student to student. You're all going to have different results, and your stores are all going to look different. Your prices are all going to be different. Your purchasing is going to be different. Your advertising, everything will be completely different student to student. But we all still need to reach that $20,000 goal. So on here, I've got just some tips to help you out. Really take a look at those. Trust me, they help quite a bit. I tried to do it. I went through and did it. It's been about 3 years since I tackled this, and it took me a few attempts. Absolutely, it took a few attempts. I did some mid-sized stores and did some small stores, and ultimately the small store was the fastest one I was able to complete it with. And that's what I'm going to show you today. All right, so I'm going to jump into mine and kind of revert back to these as we talk. And again, my answers are not going to be what you can just put in and go with right away, because mine's a finished example. Through several months on the sim is how I was finally able to reach my goal. Now, first of all, you are going to need a loan. That's mandatory. You're going to have to get a loan. If you're doing a mid-sized location, I'd suggest maybe a $100,000 loan. If you're doing a small store, you can probably get by with $50,000. And if you fail once, it doesn't mean that you're going to fail every single time. Just hop back into it. Your first and second attempt probably take the most time because you're not quite sure what to do. It takes the longest to figure out your store layout, your purchasing, laying out your back room. But once you do this a couple of times, if you restart, it really gets a lot faster because you come up with a strategy of how to get things in your back room, where you want to put things, and then it's just tinkering around with your purchasing, your pricing, and your advertising. So once again, don't waste time with a large store. Focus on a mid-size or a small store. I'm going to pull mine up here, and once again, mine is going to look different compared to yours. Okay, so I've played around with a few different locations. This is a popular mid-sized store that's probably going to be pretty successful if you'd like to use that one. For the small store, I went over here, kind of in that right-hand quadrant, and what I looked for here are where are houses. That's what I want to be near. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to be, a mid-sized store down in this location, a mid-sized store down here, because you are going to be pretty isolated from the city, and there aren't a whole lot of neighborhoods nearby. And this location is not too. I think it's a little over $3,000 per month or per week. I'm sorry. So I'd stay away from anything that's going to be over $3,500 or $4,000. I tend to stay away from. Now, the real key to this is I'm going to show you a couple things here. First, I'm going to use this icon, and I want to see where my customers are. This is how I finished. And you can see through my advertising, I was able to reach folks in the downtown area and in those neighborhoods around my store. And there were some instances where I put billboards over here to try to attract these customers. I even put a billboard in up here. It's kind of on the same road as my store, and to try to attract these homes over here. And I had one or two customer icons pop up when I did that billboard, and it was kind of expensive. So I focused on a billboard, I think primarily over here. And you can see by the end of it, I took all my billboards down. At one point, I had two going at the same time. By keeping an eye on this view, I saw that they really weren't generating any new customers, so I got rid of them. If you see, this view is pretty valuable. If you're not seeing new customers pop up, then cut your losses, take billboards down, and stop wasting money on things that aren't generating new customers. Now, one of the first things I have up to focus on here is market research. We want to figure out what our customers want, what they need, when they shop, and perhaps what radio stations they listen to. So that can all be completed on the market research. 11 p.m., definitely not 11 to 3 a.m., definitely not 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. So that helps keep my weekly payroll below $5,000. At one point, I did have salespeople, but I didn't really know what they were doing. I wasn't getting any messages about people looking for something, but they couldn't find it. And in one of the staffing sims that we did, that's where salespeople came in. They were helping people find items, but that did not. I wasn't getting error messages, or I wasn't getting messages from my customers stating that, so I didn't really worry about it. Okay. What else is on the list? We already talked about advertising a little bit. The newspaper advertisement is really valuable. I'd strongly encourage you to do that. And we've talked about a lost leader quite a bit. And we know probably our primary need that people are going to have is going to be milk. And so what I put in the notes here is I advertise 20% off milk pretty much all the time. And in order to ensure that would still be relatively profitable for me, I'll do my newspaper circular here. Baby formula has a really high profit margin. And if you go to sales and margin under reports, you can see your average margin per item. Detergent has a big margin. That's your profit per sale, $3.36. Take a look at baby formula. I keep over $5 for every sale on that. That is impressive. So I have no issues advertising that as a sale item. Same thing with milk. Milk, when you start out, you're only making about 60 to 80 cents, I think, depending on your global pricing for milk. But I jacked the price of those things up big time, and let me show you that. I'm rolling with a global store margin of 37%. I started with 35% because I wanted to get people in the door. But you can see here, milk, I started at the 35%, and then I went to 40, and then I went to 45, and people kept buying it and buying it.
I never really know what's going on. Look at me sometimes like all you want to do is run. Hear me out, hear me out.
you'll get messages that say, I went in looking for hot dogs. That's a great deal, but they didn't have any. That's through this way, all the way through. It's entirely up to you guys. Just make sure that you have room for your stock to come in and out of your back room and for your customers to go in and out. They just need access to the square, that's it. So I can't have this item here, run the risk of blocking them there. All right, so figuring out what is a need and what is an impulse item. Reports and product info. Tells you if things are impulse or need. Complementary products. We discussed that in the merchandising one. Chips go with salsa. Ice cream goes with whipped cream. Hot dogs and hot dog buns. Peanut butter and jelly go together. The likelihood of theft. Also in that right-hand column. Don't put these things near the entry. That's when you'll see significant shrinkage of folks taking those items out. So. Looking at my placement, I put impulse items right when folks walked in with the generic and Primo Cola. Previously, I had them by the registers. I tended to sell a lot more of them having them right when folks walk in. Wiper fluid, that's another impulse. Chips and salsa, impulse. Whipped cream and ice cream, impulse. Chips and salsa, again, impulse. Keeping those near the registers. Really trying to pull people towards the back corner of my store for those need items. Baby formula in a couple different locations because that's a high margin product. Oats is another need. Whether it's up against the wall or in the middle or this corner, it all changes based on how many folks you have coming into your store. So don't. There's no one way to do this. I've reviewed a few of your sims, and some of your stores look kind of like this, but definitely not completely the same. Some of you have done mid-sized locations that were successful as well. So there's no one-size-fits-all for this. I'm just trying to talk through the concepts. So impulse items near the registers, maybe right when folks walk in as well. Those need items pulling people towards the back. Now, one concept I did go with, or I tried to stick to this as much as I could, is I put the same amount of store racks in my store as I had in my back room. And right away, you can see that changed a little bit, right? I've got 3 milk racks in the back, but only 2 in my store. At one point, it was 2 and 2. Folks kept telling me, telling me I was running out of milk, so that meant I needed more space in the back room. They didn't tell me that they came in and they couldn't find it. I was just getting messages from my suppliers saying that they don't have room for it because they didn't have enough racks. And I needed quite a bit of it since that was one of my big advertisements. So, salsa, 2 racks there, even though in the back I only have 1, but otherwise I wind up with a lot of empty space, and I tried to limit the amount of empty space. When I first began, I think I only had 2 racks here, 2 racks here, 3 racks here. So it definitely changed as I went along. I grew my business slowly. I didn't throw everything out there at once, but I tried not, like whipped cream. I've got a small store. You might have a mid-sized store. I only have 1 rack of whipped cream in the back. My floor space is very valuable here because I'm a small store. I don't want to put 2 whipped creams in here because that's going to eat up space for something else. So that's something to consider. And once again, if you go to your reports, sales and margin, focus on those items that have large profits under the margin. Detergent, baby formula, peanut butter, you can increase the prices on those. They're going to be more profitable for you. Cola, not so much. 1 rack each, but I wanted to get those sold when folks walked in. Another thing I've got on here is the customer vision, right? Yeah, so take a look at this, customer vision. This is going to require you to slow down your sim. So I've got this right here. Let's go ahead and run through one day. I'm going to pause it once I open. Turn on my customer vision. Slow this way down. Way down. And I could see, make sure that my store or my stockers can get in and out of my back room efficiently. Folks are finding my cash registers efficiently. And I can see our customers buying the products I want them to buy. Seeing how many times they've scanned different shelves. At one point, this was empty. I didn't have anything over here. And the reason I changed that is I had customers coming in and they were scanning this part of my store with no shelves there. And I thought, okay, they're looking for something and I have no product there. I'm losing out on sales. So really important to take some time, look at your customer vision, identify, are there spaces in your store that folks are going to and you don't have product there? Are they skipping over your more profitable items? At one point in one store layout, I wasn't getting anybody to this back corner. I had some horizontal shelves set up. These were all rotated, so I had horizontal aisles, and folks weren't even making it to this last aisle. And so my cash register was being paid but not doing anything. I was spending money on this cash register. I had all these items over here, and nothing was selling. So again, use that customer vision. The red tells you that they're scanning. The blue is when they're going to go purchase something, put it in their cart. So valuable to look at that as well. Purchasing. Initially, I just set this up at 300 and 150. This never changed. I did not set it high because I didn't want a lot of shrinkage right off the bat due to things expiring. I didn't want to overspend, so I kept it pretty low. When I first started, I'd rather run out of something than over purchase. If I run out, I'm just losing sales. I'm not spending money. If I over purchase, I'm spending money and I might not be getting any sales on those items. And then in the purchasing unit, the concept we used, our replenish to was roughly twice the unit sold per day. The when below was 50% of the replenish to. This changes all the time. Every week, I go in here and take a look. If it was a significant change, I'd update it. So right now, I'll go ahead and update. Ooh, generic cola sold a lot. That to about 300. I usually go about round numbers on this. I'm not going to do the rest. I'll keep this short. But once again, as you go through, this changes every single week, especially if you're pushing a particular product. If you're running an advertisement, pay close attention to this. I'm running an advertisement on baby formula. I sold almost 250 units per day. I don't want to run out. If people come in looking for a deal and I don't have the product, they're going to leave and not buy anything. So I'd want to make sure if I'm pushing a product that I have it in my store. That covers purchasing. With the global price margin, quick hint, just start between 30 and 40. Don't waste time going below that. Don't waste time going above. Read your messages. If folks are saying things are too expensive, lower it. If they're saying it's a great price, consider raising it the next week. But adjust accordingly. Read the comments. If they're saying everything's a great price, increase it. If they say it's too expensive, lower it. Backroom, we discussed this a little bit already. Make sure your stockers can enter and exit with ease. This is really easy to do if you have a mid-sized store. I usually leave a gap on the top side. Let's get over there so we can see it. In a mid-sized store, you have a ton of space back here, so I usually leave a way where they can walk through this first aisle. I generally leave one of the middle sections empty, and I leave the last section empty. That gives me peace of mind knowing I'm not purchasing too many items, and it allows my stockers to get to a bunch of areas pretty quickly. Some of you, just as I've seen it, you might have done something like this. Perhaps where you leave a walkway here, that's fine. Some of you might slide everything this way. Just make sure they've got a clear access point. You can't do this. Don't do that, because then they can't access these items. Have to have an empty square to walk through. Discuss security as well. Start with the security cameras. It's only $300 a week. Keep an eye on your shrinkage. As more and more customers come in, you'll want to increase that. Maybe just with the scanners or maybe with both, but just keep an eye on your reports. Sales and margin. Oops, I'm sorry, wrong one. Income statement. Change the detail to high, and you can see what your shrinkage is. So right now, if I were continuing to do this, I would probably add security cameras again, because I'm losing more than $300 a week in shrinkage, and the security cameras only cost me $300. The My Customers view, we went over that as well. I found that radio advertising is a great way to reach multiple people. Start with, I think I said about $1,000 to start with. Don't spend too much too quickly. Grow it slowly. And that allows me to get customers that are not just in my immediate area. So when I go to my city, I'm over here, but I've got customers in this area, and that's not because of the billboard, that's because of my radio advertising. But I wanted to find out what my customers listen to. Also, another advertisement, emailing. When I first started, I did, these are all free. I did the free ones just to my customers. And you can see from January to June, my customer base went from 51 folks all the way up to 677. So I started slow. I didn't spend any money on email advertising. Now I'd have 813 folks I can send something out to. That would be free. I just usually name them like 1, 2, 3, or 4. The free items tends to get more hits, but understand that maybe buy 2, get 1 free. Definitely increase your stock. If you're giving a discount or you're doing a buy one get one free promotion, go to your purchasing and increase the stock of that product, because you don't want to run out. So let's just send this. Let's try it. And we'll run it 1 week. There we go. Not too successful. Only 6 clicks. My profit dropped. So, not a great week for me there. Take a look at my messages. I want to see why that wasn't good. Oh, lines are too long. So it looks like too many people were coming in. Hot dogs. I ran out of baby formula. I didn't increase my stock. There you go. That's why. Take a look at this one. Look at this message. 27 people loved the deal. But I had 3 people say that they couldn't find any, so they left. Better off to offer a discount than to give things free. All right, so that's kind of what you got to roll through there. Just keep tabs on your advertising. I think radio advertisements are a great way to go about it. I started with billboards and then evolved into radio advertising as my key. Go week by week. And if you follow these guides, be patient with it. You'll fail maybe once, twice, 3, 4 times, 5 times. I don't know, but give it a go. And best of luck.